All right, I've got to get this off my chest. It's time for a Dave McRae rant video. Haven't done one of these in a while. Buckle up. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. The fifth Indiana Jones film had its world premiere at the Cannes International Film Festival, one of the most prestigious, if not the most prestigious film festival in the world. And over the last, 18 hours or so, the reviews for the Dial of Destiny have been trickling out from the movie critics that were able to see it. And it's pretty much a bit of a mixed bag. You have positive reviews, you have negative reviews. I've read both the positive and negative reviews, trying to get a general consensus on both sides of the coin, doing my best to avoid spoilers. And I find myself again rolling my eyes and being perplexed at many of the negative reviews who tend to focus on this particular thing that I'm going to rant about here in a second, as the main reason why they didn't like the movie. Now, again, I haven't seen the movie. It's entirely possible that come June 30th, when it's released here in North America, I walk out of the theater and I too think it's the biggest pile of shit that's ever been put to film. You think Crystal Skull was bad? Holy shit. It's entirely possible. Right? And I'm not saying that we need to lower our expectations and just accept garbage movies, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about bad stories, bad structure, bad pacing, bad characters, bad dialogue. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about this specific expectation, which never ceases to fail when it comes to legacy sequels from our, childhood, that so many reviewers tend to focus on. Sometimes it'll lead in the headline. Sometimes it'll be the first thing they start talking about. Sometimes they'll spend like 3 or 4 paragraphs on it. And then sometimes it's a footnote in a reviewer's review, and they go on and they start talking about other things like the story and character and, all that kind of jazz. But there's enough people that do this that I've noticed a pattern that I'm just like, why? So what am I talking about specifically? I'm talking about this expectation that people have when they watch these beloved legacy sequels, and then they walk away complaining about how it didn't feel like the originals. It doesn't feel the same. It's not the same anymore. It's not the same. It's this and that and this. I mean, sure. I mean, Ford was great and he's always his charming self, but it didn't feel like Raiders. It didn't feel like Last Crusade. It's not the same feeling anymore. They're really talking about a feeling. And listen, I can intellectualize and understand the emotional, nostalgic attachment to our beloved properties from our childhood. I get it. But to spend so much time complaining about the fact that it's no longer there is strange to me, because it should be obvious that it can't be there. It cannot be there. There's the old saying, once you leave, you can't go back. He's 80. And Indiana Jones is one of those franchises that is 3 decades past its expiry date. There is an argument to be made that they should have just left it at Last Crusade. I understand that. Or if they were going to do a sequel to Last Crusade, it should have happened in 91 or 92. Do you know what I mean? But to spend so much time complaining about the feeling, and sure, it's no Raiders of the Lost Ark, I'll tell you that. Why would it be Raiders of the Lost? It can't be. It can't be. That's like me going to see my favorite band, which is AC/DC, right? They're on their farewell tour, let's say, okay? Because that's basically what this is. Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, it's the farewell tour. I know Harrison Ford is still acting. He's got some, those TV roles, and sure, he's probably going to wind up in a movie or two, but this is likely his last leading man, action-adventure oriented type of movie, right? You know what I'm saying? So for all intents and purposes, this is the farewell tour to one of the great, characters and franchises in motion picture history. So equate that to a farewell tour to AC/DC, right? One of the greatest rock and roll bands in music history. Okay. And it's like going to see them and walking away from the concert going, well, it's no Back in Black, I'll tell you that. It wasn't Back in Black. I mean, it was okay. I mean, it was good. They were fun, but just didn't have that. They're 75. It's not 1980 anymore. I just didn't quite sound like he did on Back in Black. He's 75. We need to rewire our expectations. To have the expectation that it has to, or it should, or it's going to feel like it did from the 80s it's a losing battle. It can't. It won't. It won't. We have to get that out of our heads. It never will. It's over. So what can we expect? What should be our expectations? Well, a good story. It doesn't have to be Shawshank Redemption, but a good story, good characters, great action, great Indiana Jones action, right? The Indiana Jones DNA has to be there in terms of the character and, the pacing and the feel and that kind of stuff, right? It's got to still feel like an Indiana Jones kind of movie, right? That has to be there. That's part of the DNA. It cannot insult our intelligence, and it has to pay honor and respect to the legacy of the character in the franchise, right? And as long as it does that, it doesn't embarrass itself through story and structure and, all that kind of stuff, then what more can we ask for? If we all could walk away from any legacy sequel going, you know what? That was all right. It was fine. It was good. I had a good time. It was great to see Harrison Ford again, hat and whip, and it was cool. It was cool. It was a nice farewell tour. It was a nice so long concert. You know what I mean? Then what more can we ask for? Well, I want Raiders. Well, you're not going to get it. I want the same feeling. You're not going to get it. He's 80. He's not going to be running across some suspension bridge with his shirt torn open, his pectoral muscles bulging in the sunlight with baby oil. It's not going to happen. He's 80. Do you know what I mean? Like, it floors me that so many negative reviewers will spend a lot, again, a footnote. Yeah, you know what? It's not like the old days. It's not like the old days. I get it. I'm right there with you. I get it. But to focus or to lead in a headline, it ain't no Raiders or whatever, it's like, hey, that AC/DC guy ain't no Back in Black. Well, no shit. No shit. It's like going to see the Stones. He doesn't move like he did in 68. We really got to rewire our brains here. And it frustrates me. It does, because I'm like, why is that the litmus test? I mean, again, that might be a rhetorical question, because I certainly can intellectualize why, the emotional, nostalgic childhood. I get it, but it shouldn't be the litmus test. You're going to see a farewell concert to an aging franchise with an aging leading band member. Okay, with a story that's a band that's been around for a while. You're going for the nostalgia. You're going to see him one last time. You hope for a good show, and you can walk away, thinking, it was great. That was cool. Thanks, Harrison. Really appreciate it. And that's it. That's all we can ask for. And if those are the expectations, then, again, barring any sort of total disaster with the story and the pacing and the structure, it's absolutely terrible. It's fucking like Halloween Resurrection. You know what I mean? Barring some sort of catastrophic failure, we should all be able to walk away going, I had a good time. Because we know what this is. It's like watching a black and white movie and complaining about, it looks old. It's 1949. That's why, I often say on this channel, let's watch movies within their context. Old movies, if you watch old movies within their context, there's some great stories and great performances. You don't watch a movie from the 50s going, well, that looked fake. No shit, it's 1951. And this is kind of how I feel about it. I mean, there's more nuance into the argument. I understand that. And again, I'm not saying we should accept bad movies. And if Dial of Destiny is a bad movie, I will be the first to talk about it here on this channel. But everything I'm reading about it, and there are some negative reviewers that have focused on, story, but it always kind of draws, it feels like it's always drawing back to like, it's not like the good old days. Well, it can't be. It can't be. It can't be. You're watching AC/DC knocking on 80. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Now, some of my Halloween reviewers might be thinking, well, didn't you have that expectation with Halloween 18? Weren't you complaining that it wasn't like Halloween 78? No, that wasn't my complaint. That wasn't my complaint. I liked Halloween 18. I didn't love it, but I certainly liked it better than Ends and Kills. And my expectations were, well, this is a direct sequel to the original, right? Erasing all of the sequels. There's a certain DNA, there's a certain aesthetic, right? There's certain character motivations that I expect to see from Myers and certain creative decisions that David Gordon Green did that I just didn't agree with, right? In Dial of Destiny, there has to be Indiana Jones DNA there. If it doesn't feel like Indiana Jones, doesn't smell like Indiana Jones, and doesn't taste like Indiana Jones on any level, well, that's a failure. And we can complain about that and talk about that. It's still got to feel like Indiana Jones. It's still got to look like Indiana Jones. The Indiana Jones DNA with the action and the back and forth and the MacGuffin, it's still got to feel like a Jones movie, right? But I'm not expecting Raiders level shit. It's over. And if we get it, that's icing on the cake. But to lead with a headline or to spend so much time talking about how it's not like the good old days, well, no shit. He's 80! The franchise and the character are 3 decades past its expiry date. You're going to see a farewell tour to an aging band one last time. That's what this is. That's what this is. And if they can not insult us, deliver a good story, a fun time, a good show, seeing him walk out on stage again in that whipping hat, there he is, yay! Then it's a win as far as I'm concerned, right? It's a win. That's how I feel about it. Now, again, I could watch the movie and be like, oh, this is terrible. And I'll have other things to say about the story and the structure and the pacing and the character and why did they do that? And that makes no sense. And that's not what Indiana Jones does. That's completely out of his character. Those are different things, right? That's a different thing. And if you are critiquing that and talking about that, that's fair. But to talk about a feeling, I think it's crazy to me. It's crazy. It's never going to happen. And we got to start getting that out of our heads. Listen, look in the mirror. You ain't 10 anymore. So I think we can have a certain level of expectation, but we shouldn't have those expectations. That's how I feel about it anyway. Anyways, folks, my name's Dave McRae. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. I'm sure I'm going to have some people going, oh yeah, McRae, well, but hey, that's what it's down there for. Keep it civil. Keep it civil. These are just my opinions, You are free to disagree. It's not that we disagree, it's how we disagree. If you want to follow me on social media, you can. All my links are in the description. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. That'll do it for me. In the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you soon. Cheers.